And we know that the Ghana Insurance Association, which is made up of various insurance companies, had increased the premiums, especially for motor insurance, to about 800%. And that follows the approvals from the National Insurance Commission. And already we're being told that the Ministry of Finance has asked that the increase in the insurance premiums be suspended. And this is expected to allow for further education and consultation among stakeholders. And clearly, following all that we got, it just suggested that the deeper consultations were not done. It's been almost 3 days of a fairy tale for the insurance companies now that seem to be going haywire. Their wish is not being met, so to speak.
It's becoming too much to be hearing lack of consultation. See, DVLA, when they were going to roll out their new policy, my understanding is that they admitted that there wasn't much consultation. We are just talking about some clinical trials, lack of consultation. And now we have motor insurance, another issue of lack of consultation. You begin to wonder, those who are put in charge, what goes into their thinking process. Because if your activities are going to have an effect on a third party, that's a critical stakeholder. You have to bring him in.
Because without them,
you cannot implement it. So this is basic, and I don't understand why we keep on going forth and back with consultation. But I think that, in my own view, the increment is too astronomical. 800%. I also agree that the premiums we have now are too low.
That is for third parties.
For third parties,
sometimes you pay 60 to 70
Ghana cedis. I
That's
know
too low for
too low. But I also think that 800%, they could have done this increment gradually over a certain period of time. But to just lam it up and come up to 800%. So I think that it is good that the Minister of Finance has stopped the process. It is good that they want to rethink, and I think that this time the consultation must be broad. It must also include pedestrians, those who, we are all stakeholders in it. There are people who get involved in an accident and they never even know how to start the process. So it's not only vehicle owners, but even those of us who use the road as pedestrians would also have to be part of this for the education purposes.
So now we're told that the suspension, and now you're also adding to the calls that the 800% is too much. It means that within the process of the consultation, there could be some reduction, or the need for it to be gradually increased, not the sudden increment.
Because the taxi drivers who raised some alarm and threatened to go on sit-down strike pointed to the increment, the amount. And I'm sure if they are adequately represented, their concern will be, how do we reduce the premium? How do we ensure that the premium is within acceptable levels? You don't want to put in an amount which will make people feel like not going to pay. You would want an amount that is acceptable and can be affordable. And I'm saying that if it is critical that we increase it to about 800%, then it must be graduated over a period of time. But to just come and then lam it up and slap it on road users and motorists, I think that is too much of a premium to take.
Okay, so there was the argument about, because this is it's a national issue, even though we know it's a stakeholder issue, it's a national issue. It involves almost everybody, because whoever is using has a vehicle, and even if it's being run for commercial basis, it's also being used by whoever is an ordinary Ghanaian. Okay. Do you think that the consultations should have been deeper, going into government circles? Perhaps we have a statutory body, the National Insurance Commission, but should we have roped in Ministry of Finance and even Ministry of Communications, the Chief of Staff, etc.?
You see, the National Insurance Commission is a regulator of the insurance industry. The National Insurance Commission is the one that regulates that sector. Now, the Ministry of Finance is also the regulator of financial institutions. And if you look at our laws, the National Insurance Commission is a part of the financial sector. So the ministry would always step in when there are hue and cry as we have it now. So the ministry is coming in because it is playing a regulatory role of a financial sector, of which the insurance company is one of them. So I don't think that the ministry is coming in because it was not part of the decision making. The ministry is coming in because there's hue and cry from the public, and as a regulator, they have to step in to make the to right the wrong. So that is why the ministry is coming in.
Well, we have been joined by Emmanuel Chamantingeja, and I told you earlier on that it was on a sister station, so we'll be joining us shortly for us to thoroughly also look at the issues we're looking at. And he's the Member of Parliament for Ayawasu West Wongwon. We'll be speaking on the subject of the FDA and all those trials. But now, your thoughts on the increment of the premiums, especially for the motor insurance, going as high as 800%.
Thank you for having me on your show this morning. And I want to say a good morning to viewers. Secondly, please forgive me, I was engaged at similar activity downstairs.
On Adom.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. I think we are going through some things which are not too good for this country. I don't understand why we would always take a decision and almost always would have to come back to review it. Something is amiss with governance in this country. Something definitely is amiss with governance. It is not only in this case, even in the case of the FDA thing. I hope we will come to it.
Yes, we will.
Several times in the life of the current parliament, government introduces a tax. After 2 months, they come back to say we are withdrawing the tax. I am hesitant to say that is it because government does not think through the issues properly? How would anybody just one day decide that insurance premiums must increase? Yes, I agree. Insurance premiums may have to increase. But how on earth would anybody increase insurance premium by 800%?
Well, it hasn't been increased, we're told, from 2010.
Be that as it may. Let us ask, why is it that it has not been increased since 2010? Why?
We're told that it's always been put off. There's been some intervention or the other that don't.
Yeah, so you don't intervene and then all of a sudden hit me.
Okay, let me ask you, do you think that even though we have a statutory body, the National Insurance Commission, do you think it's got nothing to do with government? Because it's a statutory body.
Well, of course, the chief executive of the board is appointed by government.
Well, I do understand that. Ms. Bawa, I think, was appointed by government. Yeah. I do understand that. But do you think that these could have been negotiated with the insurance companies? Because they have an association without the ministry knowing. It's possible.
I think we are going through the same thing about petroleum deregulation, and MP, when it is convenient, they will come to you and tell you that
it's the same thing you say.
It's the same thing. It's the same regulator. If we want the regulatory agencies to work, let us allow them to work based on the science, based on the raw figures. But you see, you just said it. I don't know. You just said it. I stand to be corrected. There has always been a certain intervention since 2012. I think that sometimes, why would anybody want to intervene? Why would government want to intervene?
Since 2010.
Yes. So 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 6 years. Look, if these incremental jumps had been, this quantum jump has been spread incrementally over 6 years, we probably would have arrived at the same position. But it would have been easier on the trade or industry. So my point is, somebody is not doing the work well. There is some lethargy. There is something about governance in this period that is not too right. It is always said, and I will say it without equivocation, this government is only thinking of how to win the next election.
I'm not sure they would have increased it to 800% then.
Oh, Well, they probably were doing this because really, I mean, it is just like fuel. It is just like everybody has to pay their electricity. Sometimes the dictates are not. It is not that they want it, but
they can't help it.
We have a. You must remember that we have an IMF program, and it is all embracing. It covers virtually every facet of government activity. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, all of these are things that are stemming out of it. I don't
Insurance premium for motor.
I have no difficulty whatsoever that along the line, but because after all, when they do the insurance, the lawyer would be able to explain better. They have to go and do reinsurance. Sometimes the calculation in some of the reinsurance they do is not here. They have to take the reinsurance with some very big companies abroad, and the remittance is US dollar based. Between 2010 and now,
it's gone an effect.
Currency has depreciated by almost 100%. Okay, we have moved from 1.3, 1.4 to 4.
On the black market, you get 4,142.
Yeah. So if the reinsurance cost is $1 million, it was 1.3, 1.4 million cedis. Today it is 4 million cedis. I can understand all of these things, but I think that when it was coming, the authority, which is government, essentially, I mean, let's not talk about National Insurance Commission. They should have when the signals were coming. It should have. He's
saying it's all about anticipating how you anticipate how people will respond to it, and you talk about even the consultation, which if you also need. It's as if you're speaking on the same lines. He was not here though, so he didn't know that.
Except that I didn't want it to be political.
He's made it political.
He has dragged the government in and said that it is symptomatic of this government, and I just want to find out. You see, the game blame must cease, as the president. The blame game must cease, as the president said at the Flagstaff House. See, under their regime, you passed laws which were stringent to the extent that taxi drivers, that's the Motor Traffic Act, taxi drivers, trotro drivers were up in arms. When they was getting to elections, you revised those laws. Were we going to say that it was because of the election?
So all you're saying is that it's gonna.
These are state institutions.
The NIC
that have been mandated to perform certain acts.
Abraham, do you believe that the NIC would have consulted the insurance companies without the Ministry of Finance having no knowledge of?
The Ministry of Finance is not saying that it has no knowledge of this. I have just indicated to you that the Ministry of Finance stepped in because of the public outcry, and as a regulator, it must step in.
Didn't the Minister of Finance anticipate this, that the public will be extremely agitated over this, that you're increasing from 0 to about 800%?
The Minister of Finance would not believe that when those consultations were going on, or would not appreciate that when those consultations were going on, the consultations were not deep enough as to take on board the citizenry. The Minister of Finance is not the one that is doing the consultation. So if the sector agency comes to say that, oh, we've done some education, look at the results of the education, and then the ministry okays it, but later on finds out that there's public outcry, the ministry can intervene. So the ministry is not saying that it is not aware of the policy or what is going to happen. The ministry is only intervening because there's public outcry and as a regulator. So if you have state institutions with a mandate, a clear mandate to, as it were, implement policies, let's not blame government when it is the state institution. These institutions outdate government. And the people who are working there would have even been employed during the NPP time. So I do not think that it is proper.
You are saying it's not political?
It's not political.
They shouldn't have anticipated that, even though they've been informed by a body like the NIC, we definitely will report to the Ministry of Finance.
Yes.
That, well, this is the negotiations we've had,
yes,
and these are the conclusions.
Yes.
And then you mean there shouldn't have been hindsight? They shouldn't have anticipated foresight. They shouldn't have been foresight. They shouldn't have anticipated.
On the part of the Ministry
of Finance, that's mind-boggling.
Ministry of the Finance take reports from the sector agency that is mandated to do that. Have you done consultation? Say yes. Have you met the groups? You say yes. So what are the results? These are the results. Then the ministry say, go ahead.
With 800%. It means they go ahead with 800%.
Oh.
With all the experience that we've had with increment, even the lawyers, you lawyers, when there was an increment, you fought.
In the court charges.
Yes.
Court fees.
No, I'm saying that with the consultation. If the consultation,
tooth and nail,
if the consultation says that they can go ahead with what they have done, and then they see that there's a public outcry, the ministry can now intervene. And that's what the ministry has intervened.
The National Blood Service is organizing a mobile blood collection drive in several areas. And as we mourn those lost in the recent tragedy of floods and fire, let's also reach out to those who are battling for life. And so we look out for the blood collection team in the following areas. That was from yesterday. They were at Pentecost Hospital, Medina. Today, they're at Lekma Hospital, Teshi, for those of you who know Teshi, and Odogono Senior High School, Awoshi, and Harvard Senior High School, just around here, Kokomemle. The time is from 8 a.m. And please go there, donate as many pints as you can, donate. Tomorrow, that's 12th, we'll be here, Joy FM Kokomemle. 13th of June, that's on Saturday, will be Victory Bible Church headquarters, Awoshi. And WBDD commemorative event, that's a for Sutherland Park for mass blood donation. That's going to be massive on Saturday, and that's going to be all from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And on Sunday at the Global Evangelical Church, that's Ajiringano, and that's 8 a.m. Ajiringano is that where you live, sir?
No, that's not in my
All right. You'll be taking place in the primaries this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have 5 minutes to talk about it before we go. But the trials.
Yeah.
You have been the boss for FDA before.
Yes.
They have the mandate, and nobody can can say that stop it.
Yes.
He feels that Parliament shouldn't have intervened at all. They don't have the right.
Yes. I am a member of Parliament, and I will not want to speak against what happened on the floor yesterday. I place that caveat.
Okay.
It is an August House.
Should I recuse you or for?
No. I came this morning because I really want to speak about this matter. I can clearly understand the fear and anxiety of the members of Parliament. I hear the lead was taken by the Volta caucus in Parliament, and I can understand if you're a politician, the pressure that is brought to bear on you is enormous.
Really?
Absolutely.
By who?
In this particular case, everybody in Volta region will call their MP and say, MP, why are you doing this to us? I want to say that the big problem in all of this is probably, or the only problem is that maybe it was not explained properly to the general population. Indeed, I don't think that Food and Drugs Board, by way of the statute they operate under, should inform Parliament. No. There is nothing in the public health.
Nothing compels them?
No.
So they are right on that score?
They are absolutely right. Number two, I think that communication in risk, when there is a risk situation, is extremely important. And I think that probably that is where there was something wrong. If that communication, prior communication and engagement had gone on very well, I don't think we would have been seeing.
They should have engaged which section of the population? We have the sampling size population.
Yes.
And the other affected population, and then the general population.
Even the general population.
Okay.
You see, it is. Let me tell you, as we sit now, a lot of clinical trials go on
for other ailments.
A lot. The only problem is that there is a word called Ebola attached to this one. And I must admit that Ebola has scared all the world, not just those of us in the last, the epicenter was in West Africa. It is not just those of us in West Africa. The whole world got scared.
You're a clinical person. Let me ask you.
I am a pharmacist.
Okay, you're a pharmacist. Yes, so you do clinical activity, right? Yes. Dispensing and all
close to.
Close to. I'm not saying you're a doctor.
Yes.
Okay. But you can work in the
I work in. I used to work in a hospital.
So you can work in a hospital
Yeah,
setting
I used to
now.
work in a
You
hospital.
used to. I mean, but you can still work. That's
do,
what.
yes.
So that's a clinical person, so to
Yes.
speak. Is this scary? I mean, we have.
If you will give me a few minutes, I would want to go through a few things.
Please do.
You see, first and foremost, I want to say that they have done all of this according to the rule, according to the law. The only thing I am saying is that probably if they had engaged the community and the general population a little better, then all of this backlash would not have come. But I am saying that it is good we can do this. There is nothing wrong with it. There is good. It is backed by very solid science, extremely solid science. Okay, the science of clinical trials has come a long way. A long way. It is very solid. I am 101% certain about the science.
Conk.
Indeed, I will want to announce today that if they are seeking, if it starts again and they are seeking volunteers, I want to give myself up as a volunteer.
Because it's not harmful.
No.
Okay.
You see, let me tell you.
How is it done?
Clinical. You see, we are doing a trial. Let me tell you, 50 years ago, polio scared the whole world. All the children were getting paralysis from polio. We went through the same processes to arrive at a polio vaccine that today everybody takes their child without thinking for a moment. We needed to go through a clinical trial to be able to establish the safety, the quality and efficacy of the polio vaccine. Today, similarly, we have a vaccine which must be tried and approved by regulators the world over, so that in the event of need, it can be given to everybody and all of us will be protected. What is happening is that it is not here. They have already tried it in the UK and in the US. Already. The results are there.
On black people?
On
or
both
samples?
White, on samples.
But you see, was he in Parliament yesterday?
I was not.
That's unfortunate. Because I'm sure if you were there,
Maybe even if he was there, he could have.
He could have taken the floor.
I was not.
And then
But he's a
also
respected.
educate-
I was not.
He could have, yeah.
But he's a respected.
I was
member
not.
of Parliament.
But
and
no,
then
but
he
what
also-
has it got to do?
Respected pharmacist.
He would have been speaking from an informed position.
Yeah,
Because-
but we have pharmacists in Parliament.
Away.
No, from speaking now. I am very concerned.
If you hear Ilache,
Yes.
Ilache was very cautious about what he was saying.
Ilache did
because
not-
he clearly understands the
Did he
issues.
speaking on? I only heard
I
him
don't
on
think,
air.
yes, he spoke on air.
I thought that if you were there,
I
you
said
could have
I was not
educated-
there.
I
Okay,
know.
no fight.
I know.
Fight.
I'm
You
saying
let
that.
him
Let me do it here.
If you were there, you could have
Dissuaded.
educated
This
some
one,
of these
it's your
comments.
members. For
Some
example,
people calling it silly comments.
It's-
I say it is
For
not.
example, some people call it silly, some said this is a, and then even your boss himself said it's a very serious matter, and it's unthinkable.
Let me say this. You see, it is a specialized area, and I think that there was. I say this with a lot of circumspection because they are honourable colleagues. It was more of heat than light.
The honourable
They
colleagues were
didn't
wrong.
speak out of
The honourable colleagues were wrong.
That's the
But do you agree they were wrong?
Oh, I think
Just they are coming from uninformed position.
yes,
Uninformed.
yes. I can completely. I would
They are
state
coming
without
from
equivocation
uninformed
that
position.
they are coming from an uninformed position.
If he were there, he would have
If
been
I
able-
was there, but
yeah.
why do you want to emphasize I was not there?
No, I'm saying that if you were there, you would have helped the process in Parliament.
I agree.
Yes.
Now,
I
it's
agree.
his primary, so he has to make sure.
Yes.
That, hey,
But yours is not even every weekend you are going to Bolga.
you were you there last weekend?
Well,
So the point I'm making
Bolga
is
Central.
sometimes what people ask is, I have told you, I would volunteer. I would
You
put
you
myself
will
up.
volunteer
Yeah,
because you feel it's not harmful.
No.
All right.
You see, let's not create panic when the one does not exist. People will tell you, so what will happen if, look, in science, sometimes, once in a long while, and let me use the example of an aeroplane. An aeroplane is one of the most carefully thought out engineered pieces.
And so this one of the safest means of transport.
Every day, probably 10 to 12,000 flights all over the world. But once in a long while,
Gets crashed.
once in a very long while, something goes wrong. the fact that something goes wrong once in a long while and the aeroplane crashes does not mean we should stop aeroplane travel. Once in a long while, in a clinical trial, like they were doing a clinical trial of syphilis in Haiti, something
or even
went wrong. Yeah, in Tuskegee, something went wrong. But we have gone from that position. All of it has informed the current thinking and position on how to do clinical trials. The fact that something went wrong someday doesn't mean that we should stop it.
All right.
I beg.
Conclude for me. I have to speak on your election.
To conclude on the matter, I want to believe that next week the Minister of Health, together with Food for the Drug Board, will come and clarify the position, and then we can allow this to go. Look, at the moment, this same trial is happening in Kenya, in Uganda, in Tanzania, and in Ghana.
We missed your input yesterday.
Yesterday, indeed.
Now you have his input.
Yesterday. you know,
yesterday.
And every country is supposed to have, I think, 32 people to do the trial. I am saying that the trial has been completed in the US and the UK.
There's a lot of money, so I can volunteer, but why is there so money?
Oh, you know, it is. Oh, what is it? I mean, I want to be able to say that when we were developing this, I was part of it.
All right.
You know, at the end of the day, let it not look like it is surreptitious. Somebody has passed about to do this.
How are you preparing? Everything okay now?
Everything is fine.
Your constituency, is it part of the constituency that have been?
No.
Oh,
we will have elections.
How many people are contesting?
There's one person that is contesting.
That's hard. How many delegates?
There are about 625.
That's why you've not been to Parliament. How many days now?
Oh, actually, I even went yesterday.
But
I needed.
You didn't go to.
Yeah, I didn't.
You just.
Yeah, I needed to.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but you're ready for the election.
I am ready.
You feel the party too is ready for it?
I think the party is ready. Nobody gets ready for everything without 100%. Hitches. But I want to believe that humanly possible. We have done all the things we need to do. This is not the first time we are having elections. Indeed, a few months ago, there was a big election to elect a flag bearer. It went without hitch, a major hitch. Because we are human, because sometimes something can go wrong.
But this one is very interesting because a lot of things have happened before now.
Well, I can agree to a certain
lot of
extent.
things are happening too. That's why you have to stand down some of the constituencies.
Yes. It's all about who is qualified to contest, who is not qualified. Indeed, I know that in one of the constituencies, it is not happening because the sitting MP is on an official delegation to a conference abroad, and the conference is ending on Saturday, on the 13th. He must do his duty as a sitting member of Parliament. So I think that it has been pushed back a week or so. There are some of the constituencies that have long-standing problems with the status of the register and all of this. But I want to believe that much sooner than later, all of those things will be resolved and then we can go ahead with the election.
You're registered member of the NDC for the Bolga Central Constituency, Meboa?
Yes.
All right. You wish them well?
I wish them well, and this gentleman here, I wish that he wins and comes back to Parliament. I want to go to Parliament and meet nice people like him.
Beautiful.
I live close to his constituency. I am at Lakeside Estate, and that is supposed to be among the Adenta area. But I passed through his constituency. I've seen how he's been able to manage the place. I think that he's a man that...
That place you don't have to do.
You don't have to do anything much.
Unfortunately, that is what all of you think.
That about people.
No, it's
East
not
Legon and
it's not true. In the last...
Okay, the National Blood Service is organizing, and this is supported by Joy News, a blood donation exercise, a collection activity that's through a mobile driving means. And so they have a mobile blood collection drive in several areas. And for today, Lekman Hospital, Odogono Senior High School, and Harvard SHS here at Kokomemle, please go there from now and go and donate. Tomorrow will be Joy FM here at Kokomemle. We also have Victory Bible Church headquarters, Awoshi, on Saturday, and on Sunday at Ajiringano at the Global Evangelical Church. I've had my guest, a gentleman who is a pharmacist, former boss of the FDA, and Emmanuel Tremantin Ejaakon. He is a current member of Parliament who will try to hold on to his seat at the primaries on Saturday
in my
for
constituency.
Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency.
We say Edaho Plain.
Edaho Plain.
Edaho Plain.
That's your, how do you call it? Motto?
That's a slogan.
That's a slogan.
Edaho Plain.
Okay, and another Edaho Plain man is a member.
I'm not sure. I was speaking to your contestant.
A member of the constituency, Bolga Central, and he's a legal practitioner, law lecturer, but also a member of the NDC's legal team, and Abraham Amaliba. Thanks. You're going to the courts?
I am.
Okay, I see you're well dressed for it. That'll be it for the morning. Please join us same time tomorrow while we conclude our discussions for the week. Bye-bye.
What is wrong?
No, it's